and it is reproductive health. How many times have you ever thought about reproductive health? And have you ever involved yourself in discussing about reproductive health? Is it easier for you to talk about reproductive health? And how many of us are willing to talk with our children or our parents about reproductive health? Today we are talking about reproductive health. Hi, I am Elisha Lomay, and I'll be with you for this lesson. If you ever wonder, how many times do we talk about reproductive health, and how do we raise them in our society? Have you ever talked with your parents about reproductive health, and do you think it's easy or difficult to you? In a normal African setting, common in African setting, there are some questions which are not asked in the dining table. If a child asks about the private parts, the answer will sound like this. We are talking about reproductive health. The answer will sound like this. Who told you? Where did you head? You are changing. Oh, at some point, parents, especially fathers at some point, will go to extreme. Shut up! And have you ever asked yourself, how about other parts of our society also respond to that? When a child asks of his or her private part, Mommy, what is this? Now, my son, that's your head. And Mommy, what is this? This is your nose. And the child go down. Mommy, what is this? This is your neck. The neck of a child. And Mommy, if the child go down and keep asking about his or her own private part, as the mother is giving is washing the baby, the baby is taking a shower, is taking a bath or something like that. If the child go below that and they go and ask of other parts of the body, in the chest somewhere, the breast and all those kind of things, the mother will, in some cases, respond or not respond. And if they dare go and ask of the private parts, the area of concentration, if they ask about that area, you'll hear, stop it, do chafu, acha, wait. It's something like that. How many of us do we usually are we willing to tell our child that's called penis, that's called vagina, that's called what? And how many of us will be willing to talk freely about those kind of things, those parts, and calling them by their names, and explain in a better, easier way that is healthier for them? We are talking about reproductive health. Our silence does not help, and in this class we'll talk about that, our reproductive system, and particularly reproductive health. Let me take you. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. You remember in the first lesson, Health Defined, we talked about that. And in all matters relating to reproductive system and its function process, we need health. And if we do, then there's a lot to check. When we talk of reproductive health care, we talk of a group of methods, techniques, services that contribute to reproductive health and well-being. The focus or the means or the approach of reproductive health care is through preventing and solving reproductive health problems. So, what is the point? It is through preventing and solving reproductive health problems. Preventing. We need to prevent problems before they happen. We need to prevent challenges before they happen. We need to if we can't prevent it, we need to solve before that will happen. But those reproductive health problems need to be prevented, not simply that we wait to face the consequences. The statistics are overwhelming, and the impact cannot be controlled. You know, women go through pregnancy. When we talk of the concept of reproductive health care, women should be able to go through pregnancy and childbirth safely. How can they be able to go in pregnancy and childbirth safely? You know, there are 4 concepts here. Number 1 is that a concept of reproductive health care. The first concept is that women should be able to go through pregnancy and childbirth safely. If they go through pregnancy and childbirth early in their life, they reduce the chances of going through pregnancy and childbirth safely. If they go too late, they increase the risk of going through pregnancy and childbirth safely. If they go too often close to each other before their body are prepared to go through that, they compromise their risk as well, or their chances as well. So the concept of reproductive health care or reproductive health aims at the first thing is women should be able to go through pregnancy and childbirth safely. Number 2, in the concept of reproductive health care, the couples who have the ability to reproduce and regulate their fertility. So it is not stopping people from having children, but rather helping them to have a better choice as they're moving to maintain their fertility. And a couple, the unity between 2 people who are staying together, married as couple. A couple should be able to have the ability to reproduce, and also not only the ability to reproduce, but also to regulate their fertility. And the other thing, the third concept of reproductive health is that the outcome of the pregnancy should be successful in terms of maternal care, and the infant survival and the well-being. So not only to have pregnant woman, not only to have a mother who is expecting mother, but also the outcome of the pregnancy should be successful in terms of maternal and infant survival. You know, when you talk of this, every time when we talk of reproductive health, and every time others will confuse it as merely just family planning. You know, some people will go against family planning. They'll say, we have been told to give birth and fill the earth. And let me talk about this a little bit. When we talk of family planning in reproductive health, it is not family prevention. Okay? When we talk of family planning, it's not about restricting parenting, or restricting giving birth, or restricting having children. No. If you decide to have 2, that's a plan. If you have 6, that's a plan. If it's 12, but the goal of family planning is not to restrict, rather is to empower the couple to have a better way that they can give birth to the children, and to increase the survival, the success, and even infant survival, and the well-being of the child and the mother, and not simply restricting. But if you think also that any intervention means is restriction, and you think we go against God, the Bible tells, zaeni muongezeke mkaijaze nchi, that you should be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. If you don't have organization, you can produce, but you're not filling the earth, you're not being fruitful. That is to say, if you have a child and the child dies, and because there was no proper maternal care, or the infant survival is dropping down, we won't fulfill that responsibility. And so we will talk about that and we come to discussion. So don't start the class with preconceived ideas, but rather we focus our goal, or the concept of reproductive health in these 4 dimensions. I've said okay, we focus our concept in these 4 things. Number 1, I've said it is women should be able to go through pregnancy and childbirth safely. Number 2, that couples should have the ability to reproduce and regulate their fertility. Number 3, of the concept of reproductive health, that the outcome of pregnancy should be successful in terms of maternal and infant survival and well-being. And number 4, which is the last one, is that couples are able to have sexual relations free of fear. That couples should be able to have a sexual relationship free of fear of 2 things: pregnancy and contracting diseases. Fear has been one of the driving tool in most of our reproductive health campaigns. When a child is young, a child is some parents avoid responsibility. They don't want to talk with their children. They're more of induced fear. You're going to get pregnant. Just if you do this, you're going to be pregnant. As if pregnancy is something to be feared. Well, that is a blessing. If it has to come in the right time, in the right way, in the right setting. It's not something to be feared. We'll come up with the very shocking statistics about pregnancy in the world very soon, shortly. But couples should not have fear of pregnancy, but rather should be thankful for the pregnancy and be fruitful. But not only that. When you talk of reproductive health, we talk of not having fear of contracting diseases. We don't have to teach our children to learn or to depend on fear as a tool for their survival. You threat them with pregnancy. You threat them that they are going to fail to finish school. You threat them with the setting that they are going to lose this or that. We threat them that they are going to die with the disease or contracting this. All those are risks, yes, but rather it could be better for them if you instead of you going to measure on threats, but rather measure on education, measure on helping them. Talk with your child. Be free with your child. Talk with him or her. Let your child be free with you. He or she can be able to ask you a question and tell you what he feels, and that will be much easier. Even helping him or her to respond to some question which are so daunting, so pressing to him or her at that point. If you don't talk with your child, someone else will talk with him or her on your behalf, and they're not going to talk with them for free. They will have a tuition fee, and that will be too expensive. It can times paid in cash or in kindness. I don't want to go to that. So talk with your child, because in reproductive health, the focus should not be fear of pregnancy and contracting diseases. Because if we have this reproductive health education, it is much easier not to have those kind of things. Let me take you to the statistics. They are very shocking. Did you know that? Every 1 minute, 1 minute, every 1 minute, that is 60 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you reach to 60 seconds, every 1 minute. Every 1 minute. 380 women get pregnant in this world, in the whole world. 1 minute. That simply means every 1 hour, over 22,000 women get pregnant. Every 1 minute, over 380 women get pregnant. But that's not all. Every 1 minute of those 380, 50% did not plan or do not wish the pregnancy. 50%, 190 women did not plan to be pregnant, but they're pregnant. Or do not plan or do not wish to be pregnant, but they were pregnant. If that is not enough, more shocking, that every 1 minute in the world, 110 women experience pregnancy-related complication. This is so sad. Every 1 minute, think about an hour, think about the day, think about the year. 1 minute. And if that is not enough, more shocking, every 1 minute, 40 women have unsafe abortion. They conduct abortion illegally and with those bush doctors, or with in an environment which is more even threatening to the life. Having abortion itself is a threat. Moreover, I'm not even talking about the sin. It's sinful. But having it also in that unsafe environment more increases even the more risk. And very sad. Every 1 minute, one woman dies from pregnancy-related issues in the world. Think about an hour. 60 women usually die every 1 minute for pregnancy-related issues. Now, think about 1 minute to 1 hour. All those figures, calculate them per hour, per day. There's a lot. There's a lot to be done. And if by any means you think that this should not be discussed, you're nuts. We need to talk about this. When you talk of reproductive health, it is important that something should be done. Okay, what should be done? What can be done? The first thing, maternal health care, including safe motherhood, should be prioritized. And that's why governments should have a role to play. That there should be maternal health care, including safe motherhood. That is to say, that women who are pregnant should be given a priority in our society. That if for us to have a reproductive health, it starts from maternal health care. If a pregnant woman is given the necessity and proper environment for her well-being, we expect even the infant will be well. And then, if that's not enough, something else can be done. Number 2, provision of comprehensive family planning support and education for both females and males. Not only education, but support. When we talk of family planning, it's not family restriction. It is rather planning. that provision of comprehensive family planning support and education for both males and females. Educating just one part is not enough. Educating both male and female. But also, number 3, provision of pre and post-abortion care and education for complications. Okay? There are some people who illegally have got abortion, or they have done it. Yes, we're not encouraging to have abortion. It is not safe. But there must be education. Not when a woman is pregnant, because statistics shows that over 190 every minute in the world do not even plan to have pregnancy. So when you talk of pre and post abortion care, abortion in our country is not legally supported. It's illegal. But whether it was done in whatever setting, there must be education before, so that this person can be able to avoid. And the best way to avoid is not to engage yourself in a sexual act, or to involve yourself in a way that you can be able to contract or to get the pregnancy. The woman should be able to, and the man should also play a role. And so education is a better key to protect, rather than only having restrictions. At some point we will say that if we give the knowledge and skills, it will be much better, rather than other things, even material things. If we educate our children, especially the young girls and young women, it will be much better, so that they can be able to understand the risk they are taking and risk they are facing, which is more than the option they are taking at that point. Number 4, infant health care. Infant health care. That's very important. Infant health care. There should be health care for the infants. At any point, we more encourage that it is safer for a woman to have the pregnancy delivered in a health institution rather than at home for this generation. This will help to reduce the risks. Number 5, management of reproductive health related problems of adolescents. What can be done? Management of reproductive health related problems. There are so many reproductive related problems for adolescents. Having sex before underage, having contracting sexual transmitted diseases, having pregnancy, adolescent pregnancy or underage pregnancy. There are so many reproductive health related problems, and most happen to be at their peak in adolescent age. That's when they are active and healthy and energetic, and they are growing, and their bodies are growing faster than how their brain are already matured. So there must be management of reproductive health related problems in especially to adolescents. Number 6, management of reproductive health related problems to women. Number 5, we were talking about management of reproductive health problems to adolescents, but this one to women. Okay, women also, women in general are more affected with reproductive health related problems than men. And number 7, what can be done? Number 7, prevention and management of sexually transmitted diseases. There must be prevention and management of sexually transmitted diseases and HIV to both males and female. Number 8, management of infertility. Management of infertility. That when there's no pregnancy, when the couple is going through a condition when there's no pregnancy, when pregnancy is sought but it's not happening, our reproductive health education need to cover that. So many things have been done in very wrong ways simply because there was poor management of infertility. Let me tell you something. Did you know that there are so many couples who think they are infertile and one partner has been given a blame, but the blame is not the true blame? It's not right. Sometimes a woman has been blamed that she's not getting pregnant, but in actual sense it was a man who has the infertility problem or reproductive health problem. The fact that a person can be able to participate, to be an active participant in a conjugal act, does not necessarily mean that he does not have a problem. And at some point, there are times that most of those problems, in fact, in most cases, most of those problems have solution. It could be hormonal issues, it could be anatomical issues, it could be physiological issues. There could be intervention which could be helpful to the partners, to the couple. But how do those people now respond? Do they manage to when a case of infertility? Instead of you going to witch doctor, going to take the herbs, and it could be much better to go to a hospital and proper medical care could be sought and be given. Haven't you noticed that if you go out there, you notice that excuse me. Sorry. Have you noticed that if you go out there and as you move even in town, everywhere there are posters of which the advertisement is men advertising for men to increase their ability and females to increase how attractive they can be as related to sexual contact. In my country, in Tanzania, we see that so many places, mganga wa jadi, nguvu za kiume, mvuto wa mapenzi. Mganga wa jadi, nguvu za kiume, mvuto wa mapenzi. What happened to nguvu za kiume? What happened to the ability of a man to participate successfully in a sexual act? What happened? There's no problem. But people are looking for hope. People are looking for solutions. Why is it that it is too common, more common to the society at the moment, that women are looking to be more attractive and more sexy, and men are looking to be more energetic and more powerful as related to the sexual relationship? What happened? You can see that there's a need for intervention. But also, number Number 9, detection of breast and cervical cancer. Cancer is a disease. It is a disease. In fact, if well detected earlier in time and an intervention is thought in a proper medical facility, most can be controlled or eradicated at an early stage. But if you wait until it is already too late, it can't help. Women have to go and check, be examined for any possibilities of if there's any cancer, breast and cervical cancer. This is strictly for women. Men do not have, because men do not have the breasts, men do not have the cervix. So men cannot go for cervical cancer checking, but rather men need to go for prostate cancer checking later, especially later in life, 50 years and so, because this is one slow growing cancer. Okay, so it is early. It's good and better to detect breast and cervical cancer earlier. So examination or checkup, annual checkup once in a year is good and healthy for individuals. And number 10, management of reproductive health related issues of men. Most of those that we have been talking about have been touching more of women, but also there are so many reproductive health related issues for men. Problem of erection, problem of fertility, infertility, problem of all those, and many more. They can better be managed in a proper healthy care system rather than just going for alternative medicine, which only give you hope but not solution. You go out there, I wish I could mention the names, but it's not the right thing to do. But if you go out there, there are so many people who claim to be doctors, especially in these sanitarium clinics. I'm not against sanitarium clinics. I'm simply spreading the, giving the facts as they are. If you talk of any medication, any treatment, you should know that it has gone over, or it has come through so many testing, and for such a conclusion that you should take this kind of a dose, there has been so many testing that has been done. But you find that somebody who has no any knowledge now calls himself or herself a doctor, is now curing people, healing people with some few roots, which there are no biomedical checkups, there are no those are established, there are no those kind of things, and you have a reproductive health related issue, and you're taking, the guy is illiterate of your problem, unexperienced, and there's no certification, and you are entrusting him or her with such enormous risk to you, and he or she only gain money. So we can see that in most cases, those people just give you hope. They'll give you things they call medicine, but they're not curing anything. For instance, syphilis is treated in hospital. Gonorrhea, that's not spiritual problem, it's physical problem. In fact, it's a sexually transmitted disease. It is transmitted by having sex, especially unprotected sex, with the infected partner. You don't have to go and have it treated in a sanitarium clinic. Go to the hospital, they have medication. Unless otherwise you are going to urinate with pain and all those kind of things. Anything, some people are reluctant of going to find or to look for proper medical care. To manage most of these sexually related issues need to be sought in a professional setting, which will be better for you now or in the future. If they are not properly managed for both males and female, it is more riskier, and the effects do increase, and the risk after will be higher than the other. I think by concluding, I would say in reproductive health care or reproductive health, the best thing is to first of all, talk with your child. Talk with those who you can be able to work with. Let them be free with you. They can be able to ask a question and you can be able to answer them. Your silence does not help. Your silence simply make it difficult. I'm talking with you as a parent as well, in the current or in the future. Your silence does not help. It's simply making the problem more complicated. So please note that. How do we raise them in our society? We need to talk with them. Why should we do that? Because it is healthier for us to do that. We need to prevent. The approach of reproductive health care is through preventing and solving reproductive health problems. And if you want to do that, there is no better way than breaking the silence. Let your child, let your brother, let your young sister or elder or whatever it is, let them free to talk with you. Because if you talk with them freely, then they can be able to ask those questions. So many girls, for instance, have been deceived that those contractions through the menstrual period or through the menstrual cycle, somewhere in the month, they are told, they have been deceived that if they have only sex, then the pain will not repeat again, and only to find that the contractions usually happens due to the contraction in the uterus over here. This is what the contraction in the uterus. It is what makes the pain or those kind of contraction. And if they have sex, there's no any penis which will go up to inside here. The penis will enter from here to somewhere here. There's no penis which will go through there. So it's a misconception, and people, some men will take that as an advantage due to the illiteracy. So you as a parent, your silence is not helping, simply making the matter more complex and more riskier for a child. Even giving birth, a mother goes to the hospital and they say, I'm going to buy a child. You're not going to buy. Later on, your child is going to understand that you are not buying. You're simply, you're going there and you're going to give birth. And later on they will understand, or they'll be given explanation from other kids, and they'll start trust other people rather than the parent. Tell the child the truth, but use the better, easier way that they can be able to understand. They see it from animals. They see animals having sex. They see chicken, goats, and dogs, and all those kind of things. It's right in their eyes. Talking about sex in a well-established setting is more beneficial to your child rather than keeping quiet. So the approach of reproductive health care is more of through preventing and solving reproductive health problems. And we can see that the concept of reproductive health education or care is that women should be able to go through pregnancy and childbirth safely. Couples should have ability to reproduce and regulate their fertility. And something else, the outcome of pregnancy should be successful in terms of maternal care and infant survival. Okay. And also, the last thing in the concept of reproductive health care is that the couple should be able to have the sexual relationship free of fear. Fear of what? Fear of pregnancy or contracting diseases, especially sexually transmitted diseases. And we have noticed that there are 10 things that can be done. Maternal health care, including safe motherhood, provisional of comprehensive family planning support and education for females and males, providing of pre and post abortion care and education for complications. Give them knowledge that it is not safe, it is not legal, it is not healthy for them to have abortion before they have the abortion. And then help them to be enlightened. Give them education. Help them to understand that it is also sin, okay, in a religious setting. And help them to understand that if that has happened now, if because that's a fact, we saw in the statistics that every minute 40 women usually are doing abortion in unsafe environment. It could be one of a person in a society. If that happens, then a proper medical care should be sought. Unless otherwise, most of these children lose their life in trying to have abortion, and they lose their life. And if that happens, there needs to be an intervention of a parent to save the life of a child and the well-being of the society. There need to also be, number 4, infant health care. The children should be, or the infants should have a better health care. And in talking about infant health care, if you can be able to have, in fact, everyone can be able to afford that. If you don't have a health insurance for your child, for infant, you can take a health insurance in your society. If you're in Tanzania, there's Bima ya Afya, by the way. You can go and have health coverage for your infant from child to 18 years. It's 54,000, I think. 50 or 54,000. You can check with insurance. It's better if your child health care is covered, to be better rather than if you don't have health care coverage. The management of reproductive health related problems to adolescents, something else you can do. Okay. The other thing, management of other reproductive health care related problems to women. Okay. Preventing and management of sexually transmitted diseases and HIV. Okay. And management of infertility. That's something which can be done. And detection of breast cancer and cervical cancer to women. And lastly, management of reproductive health related issues of men. If you're a parent, you can go through that and see how you can fit in and talk with your child, because that will be very efficient, will be very supportive. I'm praying for you that God should be helpful. You know, we are all created by the Almighty God, and He who knows us. I'm sure God will give you a way. You need to pray for that as well. God will give you a way, a more better, decent way you can talk to your child, and then you will find that it will be more beneficial than the risks you are taking by keeping quiet. Otherwise, I wish you all the best as you move on. I am Elisha Lomay, and this is the last session. As far as the class settings is concerned, you can still stay online. There will be more lessons coming. For today, my name is not done, but I'm done. Have a good time. Stay blessed.